What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking to the Doll Benfica podcast. Tonight's podcast, obviously. Pá, pagaste mo mic, caralho. Tonight's podcast, we'll be looking at the Benfica Porto game. Obviously, a win there. We'll also be looking ahead to this midweek game against Braga for the Portuguese Cup, and also looking ahead to this upcoming weekend's match against Gil Vicente. On tonight's podcast, as always, Mr. Steve Santos. Another night, another Steve Santos.
Hey, there's only one. Oh, only one that matters anyway. Oof.
Cristiano Oliveira.
Olá.
And you may know this man from your Twitter travels, Mr. Marco Lopes, or MLO.
Amelo.
Hello, I'm back.
Straight from South Africa, where currently is almost 4 o'clock in the morning. But that's how we do it. That's the dedicated fans that we have and participators in this podcast. So we're very happy that Marco is here. He's always welcome, as always. And I guess let's get this going, right?
Yep.
All right. So let's start with the Porto game, obviously. And I don't know if I want to preclude this by talking about a little bit about what we had said last week. There's a lot of people that got on us because we were very pessimistic, excluding Neil, of course. So a lot of people got on us for not having faith in this team and this and that, but, we'll get into that. All right, I'll give you the lineup real quick. Cesar, Maxi, Luizão, Jardel, and Almeida across the back. Samaris and Enzo in the middle. Salvio and Gaetan on the wings, and then Talisca and Lima up front. So the last pod we spent basically the whole pod ragging on Lima, Steve, and it never fails. Every time we talk shit about somebody, that person just makes us eat our words. It never fails.
It used to be Cardozo, but it seems like Lima's taking over. Hey, I had more doubts whether Talisca was going to play a little bit over Lima, and I did say that. But they both ended up playing. I think Jesus at the end of the game states his main reason for playing Lima was the intensity that he brings in pressing down the ball and the familiarity he has with the system and how we set up defensively. So,
yeah. I think
as you watch the game, you could see because that was an obvious strategy by us to cut down the first phase of construction from Porto and force them to play long, and it worked for the most part quite well.
And for a lot of people, and including us, very surprised that Jonas didn't play. And Marco, you have to agree with Steve that basically the whole inclusion of Lima was because he's very familiar with the defensive system of JJ, especially that first line to prevent that first line of transition from Porto. Lima's very, very comfortable and very knowledgeable and very at ease in that system, and that was perhaps also something that that showed JJ's intentions. And really, you go to Porto, you're ahead in the classification. You're playing at their field. Marco, your thoughts on this lineup choice?
Yeah, I also would have was thinking about Jonas up front, sort of partnering up front, but as it turned out, you're quite right. I mean, Lima obviously has a lot of experience and is very familiar with the setup, and I just thought that it was very much the kind of angle that Jorge Jesus wanted to take with the whole game. I was thinking about the last game at the Luge in January when we played, and if you look at the lineups, you've got 5 players from the Benfica starting lineup that played in that game, that played on Sunday, versus only Danilo, Sandro, and Jackson who played in that game from a Porto side. So I think that experience actually counted very much in the favor of Benfica, which is cool because, it's at the end of the day, even though I mean, especially since his last goal, which I think was on 4th of November, whatever it is, Talisca's performances have waned, but I kind of understand why Jorge Jesus wanted to sort of apply him in the lineup with Lima. I would have preferred Jonas and Lima, to be honest, or even Jonas and Delay, but it worked in terms of the way that that Benfica pressed and that Benfica sort of forced Porto to play a certain way. They ended up they tried very unsuccessfully to play through Benfica. They ended up resorting a lot to the wings. I thought the fullbacks were really good. I think Maxi and Andre Almeida started really shakily, but Andre Almeida put Christian Teo in his pocket very, very quickly. Maxi was fantastic after his first 10 minutes. So they really, really handled Porto very well defensively, I thought.
Yeah, I thought so too. And Cristiano, a guy that we probably spent weeks on end just basically shit talking also, Samaris. And for me, this is perhaps the best game I've ever seen Samaris play with the Benfica jersey.
I agree. I think it was the best game he's played, like you mentioned with the Benfica jersey. I'm one of those guys that's definitely talked loads of crap about this guy, but I have to eat crow. Jorge Jesus made the right decisions there. I was not in favor of having Lima start over a guy like Jonas, but maybe Jorge Jesus saw what we saw that we talked about here on this podcast plenty of times, that Talisca and Jonas don't do quite well playing together, and so maybe he saw that and he wanted to put a guy in there just to basically play his tactics, his defensive tactics. And I thought Benfica played exceptionally well. I thought Benfica executed Jorge Jesus' game plan exceptional. And came away with the important 3 points that, as we all know here, is only the third victory for Benfica in 38 games at Porto. So obviously a huge victory here.
Yeah, and Steve Marco brought up Maxi and Andre Almeida, and for one thing, Almeida playing with the yellow card from the second minute, and he manages to play the excellent game that he had against a very fast, very technical Teo, and on the other side, Maxi, the same thing.
Yeah, Almeida was, for a guy who got a yellow sword, it was fantastic, as you say. I look at the Maxi situation, Maxi versus Brahimi, and to me it leads to something that we did not see last week, something that we should have seen in our favor. Maybe our pessimism was blinding us, but there's one thing that this team has over Porto, and that's experience. Maxi, Luizão, Enzo Perez, Gaetan, all these guys have played in multiple Clásicos, won different titles both with us and with their former teams. Enzo Perez won Copa Libertadores. That being said, you show Maxi up against Brahimi, who has really set the league alight. Let's not try to take this away from him, but he's been fantastic. He's a great player. But this is a guy who's played at Granada, Rennes, hasn't played in these big matches. And as soon as Maxi got a little physical with him and really just stuck to him very, very tightly, which normally that isn't necessarily the smartest thing to do, but I guess based that Brahimi likes to play more with the ball at his feet than chasing it. Like, he's not a player that's going to try to beat you for pace. He wants to have the ball at his feet and make passes and run at you. So it's not a bad strategy in that sense. So I think last week when we were being, let's say, maybe a little overly pessimist, I'll give Neil a bit of a bone there, and
Neil saw the light
and swallow a bit of my pride, but I think that's something we must have missed. There is a lot more experience in this side than there is in the Porto side. A lot of young kids, a lot of guys who have not played in these type of situations.
But guys, we've seen this in Porto teams in years before. We saw a couple years ago when they were stacked with Luis Fabiano when they brought in Diego. That whole lineup was exceptional, and these guys could not get on the same page. It takes the team a while to gel, and that's the one advantage that Benfica has. And I have to give guys credit like Neil and other guys that actually hit us up on Twitter and through emails that pretty much ragged on us because we didn't see that coming into this game, which was these guys have been playing together for a long time, and the system has been implemented for a while. Jorge Jesus has these guys gelling. And I was watching an interview on the Portuguese channel, and Antonio Oliveira, former Porto player and Porto coach, he was talking about Benfica were making passes with their eyes closed. They knew exactly where their teammates would be because they're used to playing with one another. And the Porto players, they did not play like a team. They have very good individual players. But as a team, Benfica right now, that's the one thing that they have. These guys have, they've been through wars together, guys. We forget 3 years ago when everything caved in on us, right? This team was able to stick together and turn it around and win the Campeonato and pretty much have a very, very successful year the next year. So these guys have been around. Yes, we lost very, very key players over the summer, but let's not underestimate, man. These guys, they're stuck around. They're hungry. And Jorge Jesus, this is the guy. Steve, at times you haven't been the biggest fan. This is a guy that's working miracles with this team. And Antonio Oliveira said, had it been the other way around, you put Jorge Jesus coaching Futebol Clube do Porto and you put Lopetegui coaching Benfica, Porto is 10 to 12 points ahead of Benfica right now. That's the difference.
I don't buy that. I don't buy that. I don't think that Porto team is as good as a lot of people are saying, because I think I'll say this much, right? Danilo and Sandro were as good as we expected, and they are two exceptionally good fullbacks, and that's fine. I don't think Casemiro is anything close to Fernando Regis. Anything close. Fernando was fantastic last season, and that was in a very, very poor performing Porto squad. You look also at the centre backs. I'm not really convinced when you compare them to Mangala and Otamendi. So the only other Porto player that really got me scared was I think Torres had a fantastic game. He kept on finding space between the lines, which was irritating me in terms of, he managed to always find those pockets that no one was marking. And then obviously Quaresma, when he came on, got us scared for a little bit. But I don't know. I'm not. Maybe famous last words by me, but I'm not seeing what this fascination is. I don't see it. There's a couple of really good players, yeah, but this is one of the weakest Porto squads I've seen for a long time. I don't know. Steve is probably going to disagree with me, but
I beg to differ. If Porto were so weak, I don't think we would have played the game in the manner that we did. We had no intention of controlling the game. We had intention of controlling Porto, and by saying this, I mean we didn't want the ball.
We tried to minimize them, Steve.
We were perfectly fine knowing that Porto had to play football. They were in front of their fans. They had to come out and play. We were perfectly fine and happy, just only allowing them as little as possible, and that's it. I mean, if you look at times in the first half, the game is so compressed. If you look at the overhead view from defense to from defensive line to defensive line of each team, you're looking at maybe a 30-40 meter space. That's it. And and that was Benfica just saying, you know what, we're giving you no room to play in. If you want to try to play a long ball over our back, go see if it works. We had a couple scares that ended up.
Yeah, but
Wait, real quick.
It ended up scaring us, but that was our intention.
Can you translate meters into yards? We're in the United States, bro.
Roughly the same thing, man.
No, I would say probably maybe well, here's the thing, right? And I realized that too, and I noticed that too, that the team was very compressed. Benfica played high because they wanted to pressure them high, but then Porto started going over the top, and I think Benfica made a slight adjustment to the way they were pressing. And also to the way they occupied spaces. Obviously, less room was given to Tello. Brahimi was also tightened up. I thought Benfica did a great job with both Talisca and Lima pressuring the center backs and forcing the center backs to play the long ball, who often just fell right into our hands. Also, Casemiro dropping into the middle of the center backs to get the ball. Enzo was right there. I thought Benfica was exceptionally good.
That's the thing. Enzo had one of those turn back the clock to last season games. I think this is arguably also probably his best game of the season. The guy was absolutely everywhere. And we read a couple different tweets and a couple different comments by reporters throughout Europe and stuff like that. They said maybe this is his swan song. You want to leave Benfica out with a 6-point advantage because the guy absolutely came to play. And I just think everyone from Julio Cesar to Lima, I think everyone did their job. I think they follow instruction directions to the T to what Jorge Jesus wanted them to play. And like Steve mentioned, Benfica let them have the ball. It is what it is. I think, and we all said it last week. Again, we mentioned Neil, but Neil was the only one that said we're going to win. I think the three of us said we would be ecstatic with a draw. Mm-hmm. And I think Benfica went in there with that mentality, and Jorge Jesus said, you know what, we come out here with a draw. We haven't had many positive results away at Porto, so we'll take the draw. But you know what? The chance fell for
Yeah.
Lima. He capitalized on it. Now the game turned, and you could tell Benfica kind of like settled down a little bit more. It was a totally different game after.
Yeah, and I think that even after Quaresma came in, and I always felt that Benfica had the game under control, always, and it was perhaps one of the few times that I've seen JJ outcoach a Porto coach.
Definitely.
Maybe I don't know. I'll pose this question to all of you guys. Okay, with the same team that Porto has this year,
Mm-hmm.
does JJ beat André Villas-Boas?
Hell no.
I don't think so. I
Hell
don't
no.
think so. It's hard to say because there is obvious a little bit lacking in experience. So maybe, but I don't think. I can't even say his name right because of JJ. Is it Lopetegui or Lotopegui? But I don't think he's a bad coach.
Lotopegui.
Lotopegui.
It's like a Spanish scratch-off that you win in pesetas.
I don't think he's a bad coach. I think this game was played on very, very narrow margins. Porto had a lot more of the ball. They had a lot more shots. They hit 2 crossbars. To say we were lucky, okay, I'm not gonna say we were completely lucky because we had a game plan. We stuck to it. It worked. You can't say it was luck. But did we have a slice of luck? I'm not saying it was a fluke. I think we had a little bit of luck.
We were lucky not to concede. I think if that's the way to put it, I think we were lucky not to concede. And Steve, I think you too pessimistic, brother. I mean, call a spade a spade. Jorge Jesus out-coached Lopetegui.
He did.
It's been a while since we had a Benfica coach.
Yeah, exactly. Marco,
said that.
does he outcoach André Villas-Boas with the same exact team that Porto has this year?
I don't think so, only because I think that AVB still has a couple of other dynamics to him that maybe, you know, well, I just sort of rate him a bit higher. But I just think we're not giving justice to a couple of things, right? Because number one, you know, let's not forget, Benfica were the ones sitting on top of the table. It was Porto's game to chase, right? It was Porto's imperative to try and attack us, not the other way around. So I don't think there's anything wrong with Benfica saying, listen, you know, come and try and score through us if you can. And I mean, case in point, yes, they hit the post, yes, they had their chances, but put it into context. Their first really good chance is I think Torres gets in behind the Benfica defense about, you know, sort of in that first 10-15 minutes. Thereafter, it's very quiet. The only other the moment that Jackson gets some space in the box is conveniently after Luizão has just come off injured. So I kind of want to say yes, there was a bit of luck involved, but I don't think Benfica handled this really badly at all. I think that there was a very deliberate plan in place, and they executed it pretty well, I'd say.
I thought so too. Cristiano, I'll go to you last. Does JJ outcoach Villas-Boas?
No, he does not coach Villas-Boas. I think Villas-Boas has proved that he's an exceptional coach, and when he went head-to-head with Jesus, most of the time he had the better of the game. But I'll tell you this much. The one thing is for sure. Yesterday, Jorge Jesus outcoached Lopetegui. It wasn't even close. And the one thing I love about Lopetegui, and I don't even rate this guy after the Sunday's matchup, is because this clown after the game comes out and he's like, I'm estoy orgulloso. I'm proud of my team. I'm more convinced now than ever after today's game that we're going to be champs. And they might be champs because you never know. One thing is for sure, Porto will be able to hold on to their players in January. We don't know yet what Benfica will do in January. But if that's the game the guy was watching, that his team was so dominant, I want that guy around. I hope Porto keeps him around for 10 years because to me he was absolutely clueless. Yes, they hit the post. They had a couple of their chances. Julio says that 2 saves.
And I know that you don't rate Vitor Pereira, Cristiano, so I'll ask I'll ask Steve. Steve, does AJ outcoach Vitor Pereira? Same question.
I still don't understand how Vitor Pereira doesn't have a job. I really don't. I think there's something wrong with his personality that he just doesn't rub people the right way.
Maybe people don't want him to speak the truth.
Maybe you guys andaba con Margarita.
Maybe that could be it. But honestly, he's a better coach. Steve speaks the truth.
Yeah. Steve speaks the truth. That's your new tagline, Steve. No,
yeah.
Vitor is someone I'd even go as far as to tolerate on the sidelines of Benfica if the fans could forgive him for being Porto coach for that season. Because I do think he's that good.
I wouldn't tolerate him. Vitor,
Get out of here. I don't want.
I would never want him. He's a Porto guy through and through. I wouldn't, and he's made no qualms of it.
No.
I wouldn't tolerate him on the Benfica sideline. Never. Just the same way I didn't tolerate JJ kneeling down at the Estádio de Zantas, as he calls it.
That's fair.
But guys, we all on the run up to this game, we all talked about the mental aspect of a win or a loss. I know that 6 points is not a lot for the Portuguese team. Benfica still has to play Sporting. Benfica still has to play Porto again. And unlike Eric said on the BSH podcast, that 6 points or 10 points or whatever is the same thing as 20 points in the EPL.
That's crap.
Which I don't agree with, especially when the
6 points is 6 points.
Go ahead, tell us about it, Marco.
6 points is 6 points, right? But 6 points and the edge. The most important thing, and it was something that we hit over here on this podcast a lot, was the fact that if Benfica had lost this game, what kind of scars would have left on this team? And Steve, the team has to be feeling well right now.
Oh, absolutely. A lot better than what I was prospecting what a loss would do. Now the game plan is set. The goals that you have at the end of the season are very clear. You have two competitions that you really want to win: the Taça and the league itself. I don't think we're going to put a lot of weight in the League Cup as we have in the past. That'll probably be where we play the most of our second string. And now that they see that they've been able to beat their number one contender or enemy or however you want to call them for the league, it's got to leave them in good spirits. The only thing is, what worries me, but I'll say it worries me, but I liked one of JJ's responses right away. JJ said, we have to be humble. We have to stay humble. And I think that's something we have to do, both as a club and as Benfiquistas. I mean, it's fantastic we won it to Dragão. It happened so rare. But we have dropped 5-point leads versus Porto before. 6 is only one more. Yeah. And I'm not about to start celebrating any titles or getting too happy or mandar foguete, like a lot of people like to say, because it's just not going to happen here.
Yeah, and Marco, there's another huge thing here, and something that we've also discussed on past pods was sometimes with JJ being the way he is, the team tends to maybe lose a little bit of faith in JJ. And knowing that this season, and as a result of losing a lot of guys, we have a limited squad with not so much depth as last year. But this win, and these guys following JJ's instructions to the T, and seeing the results, especially on such a big game, this has to be a huge boost of confidence for JJ and the players also.
And let's not forget, guys. All the negativity that surrounded the team, all the doubts. Nobody knew what this team was going to be in August. Remember, they lost a bunch of preseason games. I think yesterday solidified a lot in their heads, and I think this will catapult these guys to the next level. But to me, there's still that huge cloud over Benfica right now, which is January transfer market. What is going to happen to the team? If they were able to keep everyone intact, okay, yes, those 6 points will be huge. But if we sell one or two key players, Enzo Perez, and you hear rumors of Gaetan, even though he might not leave, but Talisca's and so on and so forth. If you lose one of those key players, we've seen the troubles we've had in the middle of the park this year with Samaris, even though he played well 2 days ago. It'll be very tough.
Yeah.
Let me just say something about Samaris. It's kind of ironic that the best game he's played so far, we didn't really care about keeping possession or playing out of the back.
So that's a good point.
He didn't have to think with the ball at his feet, right?
That's a great point.
Keep that in mind. He was fantastic defensively. He
occupied spaces. He covered well. He doubled up with the guys. And he didn't worry about building up.
That's fine, but he hasn't even done what you guys just said he did this week. He hasn't done it until now. So I thought, that being said, I thought he played well.
He was.
But no, I feel about that.
But it raises it. it raises a really important point, because if we go with the assumption that Enzo does leave in January, unfortunately, the thing for me, the single biggest decision that hinges on that back-to-back title being won is who ends up playing the 8. Because even if we get Facer back off the operating table, I have no idea if he's still a footballer anymore. But if and when he comes back, I mean, the guy who plays the 8, if it's, I'm kind of thinking in JJ's mind, it's one of 4 people. It's either Samaris, and I'm still not convinced by his distribution abilities in that regard. It could be Pizzi, but he's too green, maybe. Talisca for me just doesn't have the knowledge, the discipline, the tactical nous to do it.
I
The
don't
only
think
other option. Hey?
I don't think Talisca has vision to
Yeah.
play.
Yeah,
that-
exactly. The only other player that can do it, but again, we're waiting for him to come back as well as Amorim. But Amorim is obviously not to the standard of Enzo. So, is that a good enough?
You're forgetting Cristante.
Yeah, I don't know.
I like the kid. I like the kid a lot.
I think that's one position we shouldn't
Also
worry
being-
about is the 8 position. We got plenty of guys that can offer us a lot in a lot of ways.
But none of them are Enzo Perez.
None of them are Enzo Perez. You're
Yeah, I was going to say another Enzo Perez.
I'm quite worried, to be honest. I'm quite worried. I don't think that the replacements are anywhere near Enzo's quality. I think the one who's got the most similar characteristics is Samaris. He's been taught how to play 6, so you're going to throw away everything that you've done for the past 6 months and put him back to 8. I don't know. Let's just keep our fingers crossed and say that he doesn't go until the summer.
In my mind,
because-
if Enzo leaves, I think the 2 guys that will most likely get a shot at that spot first will be Talisca, number 1, and number 2 will be followed by Cristante. Because, Steve, you just brought up a great point, Steve. You're not going to move a guy that you've been trying to mold into the type of player that you want him to be over the past 6 months. You're not all of a sudden just going to say, you know what, scratch that, forget it. Let's get you over to another position. I don't think they'll do that, because that defensive center mid position, that hole that we have at that position right now will still be there next year. And it's not like we have anybody else on the horizon with the exception of Feja and, like Marco said, we don't even know if that guy's still playing.
But you don't have to go too far, because last year when Fesa came on, JJ put Fesa at defensive midfield and he moved up Matic, which clearly was a mistake.
Matic's a much better player than his feet.
We played a little bit of 4-3-3 when that happened. But then in certain games it was still Matic at the 6 with Enzo, especially in Portugal. I don't know. I don't see Cristante as an 8. JJ tends to agree with me. I've read that recorded interview and he said the same. I personally think what might happen is either Samaris moves up to 8 and Cristante starts playing at 6, or we're going to see Pizzi. You keep hearing that he's being molded into the Enzo replacement. Your little bit on Talisca, I think the more JJ sees Talisca, the more he realizes his limitations, and the way he's coming off at halftime and after 15 minutes, I don't know if JJ has the faith in Talisca to play 8. We'll see, but
No, I
don't think so.
Talisca is an 8. Although he can play 10 positions in the midfield with JJ. But I don't think he sees him as an 8. Like I said, he lacks the vision to being able to distribute the ball from an 8 point. I think that Cristante is a good shot because of his physicality. I think that Samaris is also a natural 8. Pizzi is a work in progress, but from what people have seen, he's made great progress. You guys are also forgetting João Teixeira, who might be green, but that kid is fearless.
Yeah, I like him.
So that 8 position is not a concern for me right now. Although losing a guy of Enzo's talent is, and it will be a great loss, obviously. But I don't think it's a position that we're going to be left holding our pants by our ankles. Anyway, 6 points, as we've said, 6 points is not a lot. But I think the most important thing about being 6 points ahead at this time is the fact that the team is finally showing signs of gelling. There's team, there's mechanism that are working. As we've said, the Argentinians are coming into their own. Well, maybe with the exception of Salvio. We also got Lima scoring goals. He might not score any more goals for the rest of the season, but he scored these two important ones. Defense, from what I understand, Luizão came out, but Abola is reporting today that he should be back for Braga. Almeida, I think Almeida is great at left back. We could leave Eliseu on the bench for the rest of the year. We also got Silvio, who has made his first game roster last week against Leverkusen. So, I mean, all the options are coming now. We should be getting Feza in January. So, I got a positive outlook. I know that 6 points is not a lot, but we're just coming into our own right now. So, you know, if you're a Benfiquista, it's a positive outlook. So, we'll see what happens with 6 points. And I don't think that we should even be worried about Sporting at this time. Because, last time they won a title, they were still paying players with Skúdos. I think I used that one already today on you guys. It's not as funny.
I'm not gonna like that one.
Well,
sorry, Jason. Sorry, Eric.
Let's stay positive, but stay away from the euphoria and going overboard. That's my side of it.
Absolutely. And if you want to stay away from the euphoria, is you got to put your head down, work hard, because you got the one team that has beaten you this year domestically. You got Braga coming up this Thursday. A game for the Portuguese Cup. Thursday, 8 p.m. local. We play Braga at Estádio da Luz. Obviously, with the game being at Estádio da Luz, it's always a different story than going up to the Pedreira, because we all know what happens at the Pedreira is always like the Twilight Zone at the Pedreira. But, Steve, very important game. We can't look back and think that this is won. Obviously, the game against Porto is won as the fruit of the work ethic of the team. And it's that same work ethic that we got to bring to this Braga game.
Yep, the work ethic has to be there, but the chip or the game plan is going to have to change. You're playing Braga at home in a game where you have to impose yourself. You're the one who has to go out and win. You're the one who has to create chances and control the game. So, yes, the work ethic and the intensity, which is what I was impressed with the most versus Porto. I think we were just supremely overworking them, if nothing else. That's going to have to stay. But we're going to have to approach the game quite differently than the game we just played at the Real.
Yeah. And Marco, we've seen JJ give time to some of the guys that are less used. I know he has some confidence in some of the guys that come off the bench. But what do you think the approach is against this Braga team? All hands on deck?
I don't think that it should be all hands on deck, but that's exactly what I expect JJ to do. I think he's going to play very much as similar a team as to what we saw on Sunday. Just because, it's one more game and what? I think you were into the semi, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to be a situation where he committed, also because of the fact that they did beat Benfica already this season. That there's going to be this sort of notion probably in the back of JJ's head that, okay, I'm going to need my best team to line up in order to beat them. I just hope that it's when we played Braga the first time, I think Benfica was caught a little bit sort of cold on some of the obvious intensities of their transitions. They really counterattack really, really well, which is a bit sad to say for a team with Eder in it. But be that as it may, I just hope one of the key things is that the guys just sort of respond a lot better to those transitions and make very sure that they can deal with the movements of I think it's is he Colombian, Ecuadorian? Pardo.
Yeah. Pardo, I think it's Colombian.
And then obviously Rafa as well. So as long as in particular they keep those two guys in check, Benfica should sort of be able to pull off at the very least keep it tight at the back and give them back themselves a chance to score on their own counter or something.
I think it's imperative that they win this game come
Yeah.
Thursday. Let's not forget, we did get knocked out of the Champions League. We're not even playing Europa competition. That being said, I think our two objectives, our two goals, is the Taça and the Campeonato. And I
Yeah.
think we crash out of the Taça this weekend. I mean, this week coming up. I think even though we just beat Porto in a very impressive manner, whatever it's, because it was at Porto, not the way that we played impressive, but the fact that, we are not playing any type of European competition, I think that'll be the fans. I don't think people swallow that. So I think it's very important that Benfica wins this game on Thursday.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that we can't have a hangover from Porto. Porto's done. We gotta approach it with seriousness, and we gotta be, you gotta have a chip on your shoulder to play Braga. These guys handed out the first win of the season. We were up ahead, and we kind of fell asleep and let them go up on us. And we just got to take this game to these guys. I mean, we have a much better team than these guys, and we gotta show them. We gotta show them.
I hope the fans show up. I hope we get a little bit more fans than we did.
Yeah, we should. We should.
It's a Thursday game, though.
Yeah, and moving from the Taça de Portugal to the Taça de Cerveja, as my friend Cristiano likes to call it, they had that drawing, and I don't know if people were paying attention, but they had that drawing not too long ago, and Benfica drew Nacional, Aroca, and Moreirense. And I'll give you the game schedule. Benfica will play Nacional on the 28th of December, then play Aroca on the 14th of January, and on the 21st of January, Benfica will wrap up the group stage at Moreirense. So a very favorable draw for Benfica. Very easy, accessible teams playing two games at home also. And Cristiano, what do you think the approach it's going to be to this competition? We already know, and Sporting's president has already said that he will send out the B team or the juniors to play in this competition as a result of what happened with them last year in Porto, and Porto showing up late to the game and blah, 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 blah. What do you think the approach is by JJ?
I think Steve brought it up before. Play your B, your second rotation guys. Play those guys, the pieces of the world, the Cristantes. Get these guys some game rhythm. Get these guys some game time and let them develop, and hopefully we do well. If not, it is what it is. But we know Benfica loves that Taça de Cerveja. I believe what we got, like five of them? Steve,
Yeah.
how many we got?
I think
We got
it's five.
of the first six, right? Something like that.
I think so. I think it's five.
They should have retired one already in our honor after winning so many.
It's coming up on the Taça de Liga. I think we will be playing the second string. Regarding the next two games coming up, I think between Enzo and Almeida, both accumulated yellow cards for the league game on the weekend. I think it's going to help JJ make some decisions on.
I think Moxie's going to be out too, if I'm not mistaken.
Is it all three of them?
I think so, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if the Portuguese Cup counts.
No, I'm pretty sure it doesn't. That's why they're calling Enzo's game versus Braga might be his farewell, quote unquote, if he leaves in January. So
Steve, stop being so freaking negative, bro.
Hey, I'm just reading.
Steve,
Just reading.
we got bourbon. What you got in the glass?
Actually, today, ironically, I'm drinking a wine from the Douro called Gloria. Isn't that kind of ironic?
Not doing you any
Dude, you
good.
just made that up, dude.
I swear to God, I'll get you the bottle after the
You
podcast.
made that up, bro. A
I'll take
wine from Douro named Gloria. This guy's, man, don't believe this.
Okay. Just because you put me on the spot, I'll be right back. You guys keep talking.
Yo, you printed that label.
No, you don't believe me?
You
Okay, I'll tweet it after.
Go get the Sharpie, bro.
No,
Go get the
He'll
Sharpie.
tweet it after.
All right.
But Steve, listen. I don't think you should be drinking that.
Peraí,
in the future.
olha.
He's got to
Can you
talk.
guys-
Talk.
Can you guys see that?
Yeah, we can.
What does that say?
Wow.
Gloria.
You printed that out at Kinko's, bro.
They should be sending me a case because that's some good PR right there. Come on.
We'll hit him
Send
up
it
on
over.
Twitter for Christmas. We could all get a case. We'll send them a Benfica T-shirt signed by yours truly.
So yeah, obviously I'm not too worried about this Braga game, to be honest with you, because I think the team has plenty of reasons why they would want to beat Braga. But what I am worried about is the Gil Vicente game that comes up this weekend on Sunday, 5 p.m. local. We will play Gil Vicente at home, and Steve, Gil Vicente is last. They're also basically the last league game of the year. I don't know if the game that comes after that is a League Cup game or a Copa de Liga. Yeah, right.
Taça de Liga.
The Liga, right? And I think that JJ is going to give some break to some guys at the Taça de Liga. So I'm a little worried that some of these guys might already be looking past this Gil Vicente game to the New Year's, to Santa Claus. I don't know, man. What do you think this Gil Vicente game is? For me, it's a classic trap game.
It definitely looks like that. Let's hope that JJ stays true to his word and make sure the team keeps humble and focused. But it definitely does look like a trap game against the last place team just before the break. You let complacency sit in and you think, okay, this is going to be easy, but then it ends up biting you. So it definitely has that look. But I think given the fact that we might be able to play a couple guys in there that will be wanting to show what they can do, maybe a Pizzi, maybe a Benito, a Silvio, maybe even at this rate, it might prove as a blessing in disguise that the Enzos and the Maxis aren't available.
Yeah. Marco, what are you thinking, man?
Well, it's the bottom team, right? They haven't won a game. They've struggled to score goals. I get the whole concern about it being a trap game because it's top versus bottom, but I mean, there's so many. This is a team that lost to Sporting 4-0, pa. If we can't beat them 1-0, there's something really wrong, right? So they better. It's kind of got to be. I'm trying to say that the best way to follow up a win at the Dragão is a nice, comfortable win over Gil Vicente. That's what I'm saying.
I think
and there's no reason it's not possible. There's a lot of, I don't know who they're going to line up with, but I mean, having a look at a couple of the highlights, the one of their centre backs or makeshift left backs as well, Ivaldo, he reminds me of Emerson, which is the best compliment I can give him. And then, the goalkeeper, I mean, he's terrible at long range shots. If Nani can score the peach that he did against him, then definitely Talisca should be able to score a couple. And I mean, there's a defender with the braids. I think Pex, the guy is like, he's static. He doesn't turn quickly. So again, even someone like Lima should be able to get very easily off his shoulder. So this is trap game. It is, but there's no reason Benfica shouldn't win this game.
I definitely agree with you. If this game was at Gil Vicente, I'd be a little bit concerned, but due to the fact that it's a start to lose, I expect nothing but a 4-0 shellacking.
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 No,
If Neil was going 6 right now.
but just
just to confirm, it's actually just Almeida and Enzo that are not going to be able to play versus Gil Vicente. I think Maxi might have already been suspended.
He's on his second ration of yellow cards.
Yeah, if I remember right, I think he is. So.
Yeah.
He was on 4 coming into this game. How the hell did he serve his game? I don't get it.
Who was?
Both him and Enzo, they were both at 4 coming into this game.
I think so too.
How the hell?
I think both Maxi. Yeah, we talked about that.
We talked
Steve.
about this on the previous podcast.
Yeah, you might be reading the wrong stat line.
Yeah, because he picked up 1 this, so that should be 5. Because according to the conversation we had a couple weeks ago,
both of them were in danger.
When we were talking about should they play against Blunes.
Yeah, you're right.
Was Moxie and I definitely said don't play Moxie because he's going to get a yellow, but somehow he survived the Blunes game.
You're right, but the headline that I'm reading on 0-0 only says Almeida and Perez, so that's interesting. I'd like to look into that a little bit further.
You gotta consult a more legit site.
Oh.
What's that site that Neil goes to? That's where you should be going.
Neil, hit us up on Twitter, man. Let us know where you go. You know you're listening.
Yeah, Neil's watching. You posted a picture on Instagram.
Of Steve.
Neil.
Everybody got infection. This infection with Steve.
Neil, tweet us the link to that site you go to. I forget what it is now.
Peggy, if you're listening, man, check it out.
Peggy's working.
He says he's working, but he's always texting. Okay, mate, I got to go to work, and then he's always texting us. Like, all right.
Speaking of Peggy, and obviously we have some fans in Australia, and I just want to say that very unfortunate this whole thing that happened in
We
Australia.
ride together. What is it?
And
We ride together.
very unfortunate this whole hostage situation that happened in Australia and the lives that were lost there. Our condolences to anybody that was connected to the victims, or never a good thing to happen in any country to anyone. So very very saddened by the news that went on in Australia. Anyway,
It's ride with you, by the way.
right.
Hashtag.
Anything else that you guys wanted to add? I mean, this thing seemed like it flew.
It was definitely a quick one, or at least it seemed quick.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we obviously had all our points, well primed. I mean, it's pretty easy to talk about what this team needs to do at the moment. So
Just one more thing. A couple of weeks ago, there was a huge article in Ebola about the academy and that new robot and all that stuff that we just installed in the academy. Luis Felipe Vieira comes out and says 4 to 5 players from the academy in next year's lineup. Anybody believe it?
Yeah. Why
Yeah.
not? You got to believe it, because the guy you're
like
looking at the sheet. You're looking at your roster sheet. You're looking at the roster sheet of the B, okay, and you're looking at the kids that were champions in the juniors and then went all the way to the final of the U20 Champions League, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
You can't help but have confidence in that. I mean,
Well,
you're
if-
looking at Steven Vitoria too. There you go.
Hey,
There we go.
he's Porto product, if anything, man.
No, but I'm saying, I mean,
if one of
could
I was going to say, if one of those kids is Bernardo da Silva, then I'm very, very happy with that.
absolutely. You got Bernardo Silva, you got Andre Almeida, okay. Then you got João Teixeira, who could play in this team, no doubt
Definitely.
about it. Who else?
Bernardo
Gage,
Silva
Gonzalez.
should be on this team over Bebe or Thiago, whatever you want to call him. The guy sucks on the both teams.
Even Cavaleiro should be on this team ahead of freaking Bebe. Come on,
Nelson
dude.
Oliveira.
No doubt.
So I mean, the guy, you're looking at your roster sheet and your depth squad between the A and the B. Obviously, you got to be confident. The whole trick is, okay, you're saying 4 to 5 players in the team next year. What's going to have in the team the year after? That's the whole trick. If he comes out and says, from now on, we're going to have at least minimum of 4 players in our roster every year in our A team.
Yeah, but you have to.
Now
play
I'm
these
impressed.
Guys. You have to play these guys. Just having them on the
Doesn't
team,
matter.
on the bench does matter.
That's not what he said, though.
Quality.
That's not what he said. He said that there would be 4 to 5 players in the roster. He didn't mention anything about a starting 11 or anything like that.
Yeah,
True.
Neil makes a great point. Gage, Teixeira, Font, and Silva. I don't know about Font,
I don't know about 4 days. A little bit.
Yeah.
but yeah, Gage,
Gage,
Teixeira,
definitely.
Silva, Andre Almeida is also a product, so you could say.
Cancelo.
That's a stretch, man.
Well,
Andre Almeida was at Belenenses up until like 19 or 20 years old. That's a bit of a stretch to call him Benfica product.
mm,
I
yeah, but he does come from the juniors, bro.
if I had to choose, no, I think it went straight to the B, but we'll check that after.
Yeah, you might be right, Steve.
I think if I had to choose 5, I'd be going with Bernardo, Guedes, João Cancelo, Ivan Cavaleiro. I'm sure I'm forgetting someone on Teixeira. That's who I think my 5 would be.
And
I
you
think
could promote
Varela, the backup
Varela.
goal-
You
backup
could promote.
goal.
You retire. Go
No,
Lopes.
Son.
Paul Lopes, right? Paul Lopes. I
Mhm.
got that right?
Yep.
You retire Paul Lopes and you bring Varela as the third goalkeeper.
There's your 6 almost. So yeah, it's definitely possible. I just hope that we don't let them rot and just say, okay, they're part of they're part of the 24.
Maintaining is the same thing as you looking at your bank account or some investments, an IRA that you did, and you know that the IRA is maturing in 2 years and saying, next year I'm going to have about $10,000 in the bank.
Look at this. There's no other sports podcast doing this, giving you investment tips. Look at this.
But that's what I'm saying. It's very easy to look now and seeing these guys at the maturity level that they're at right now, and being able to step on this team. Obviously, they got quality. We all know they got quality. It's very easy for him to say 4 to 5 players in the team next year. The trick is, what about the year after that?
I don't think Cavaleiro comes back if he's not promised playing time. I think there's
Well, why not?
because I think there's going to be a little bit of a headache here. Same thing with Bernardo Silva. You heard today that he left to get playing time. So I think if these guys come back, you absolutely have to play them. As far as starting, okay, maybe rotate the guys in like you're doing with Cristante this year, developing these guys, but just don't bring them back and sit them on the bench and let them rot because these guys aren't developing. And I don't want these guys playing on a B team over the weekends or during the week. If these guys come back, and I agree with Steve, I pretty much want the same 5-6 guys that he mentioned. I want these guys to actually get some playing time because you do have some gems there. You've seen Bernardo Silva, just like Marco mentioned. The guy's a terrific player. Every time he plays, he impresses the heck out of me. I mean, especially at the under 21 level, the guy, you could tell he's a man amongst boys. Same thing with Geddes. He looks like he's got a lot of promise, but how much promise is he really getting from him? He played one game so far.
That's the funny thing about Bernardo Silva. You've got Talisca having had this extended run in the team, and I mean, I know Talisca scored a lot of goals in the beginning, and he gave us a lot of points. I get that. All credit to him, fantastic. But long term for the team, I see nothing that tells me that investing time in Bernardo Silva would have been better than investing time in Talisca.
Steve is
Other round. Bernardo Silva is the guy you wanted to invest in, right? Not Talisca. Does that make sense? Steve agrees with me. I know he does.
But where's the commission? Where's the commission in Bernardo Silva's sell?
That's another big. But remember, Gaetan will most likely leave in the summer, and Bernardo Silva can slide in and play that position. And even an Ivan Caballero, both of those guys, you rotate them both in and out. So
what about John
players?
Yeah, there's Ola John too.
Well, Ola John can play on the other side.
Yeah, I think
that's a lot of speculation.
Yeah,
Marco.
You brought it up, Steve.
My biggest fear is losing Bernardo Silva at the end of the year.
Same.
That's my biggest fear.
Same.
At least let the kid play one senior year with us.
Yeah.
And then sell him at least. Come on, give the kid that joy of playing for the club dear to his heart. I mean, if you guys follow him on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, he posted two like a montage of two pictures. One of them was him celebrating after scoring his first senior goal for Monaco, and the other one was Benfica beating Porto. Those were the two things that he was the most proud of this weekend. How can you not love a kid
this weekend?
That's
of course.
This weekend, yeah. How can you not love a kid like that?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's George Jesus.
Man. It's tough, but I could. It's debatable whether. If JJ felt that Bernardo Silva could play in that Talisca position, it's also debatable whether JJ sees him as a guy that could play between lines in the center, or if he's a guy that's more molded to suit Gaetan's position.
Wow,
it's debatable if Talisca can play in Talisca's position at the moment.
Thank you.
Thank
you, Marco. Thank you.
Steve tá contente, pá.
Well, the whole thing, let's say it. Talisca scored goals for us. We have to thank him for that. But the way he was just handed a spot in the squad and Bernardo Silva was just shushed away, to me is something that will always leave me baffled. Regardless if we win the championship this year or if Talisca goes for hundreds of millions of dollars after this, it'll always leave me baffled.
Dude, we know there's a lot of politics. There's agents. There's commissions at stake. We all know that plays a huge factor into this whole thing. I don't think anybody doubts that perhaps Bernardo Silva is better than Talisca. I don't think anybody doubts that.
Guys, I love Bernardo Silva, and every chance I've had to see him play, especially on the under 20 and under 21 national team with Portugal, he's been lights out. But the one thing, and I have to be honest, okay, that's kind of making me a little bit, swallow this pill a little bit easier, is that he is kind of, sort of, not really that getting that much playing time over at Monaco. We saw what Monaco could do. I thought Monaco was terrible.
Yeah.
So if he was over there lighting it up, then I could say, how the hell is this guy not playing on our team? But he is having a little bit of a tough time. I don't know what it is because he doesn't get the playing time that we all think he should get. So maybe Jardim sees a lot of the things that Jorge Jesus does, that the guy is a great young talent, but is not there yet. Hopefully he learns it this year with a season abroad and he brings it back next year.
Yeah.
But that's the one thing that's making me, swallow this pill a little bit easier.
Yeah, but he's also, he's usually the second, third choice off the bench, which
but hold on,
says a lot. I mean, regardless of Monaco being shitty or not,
on that squad, I'll be starter.
Let me cut in.
this
Can
guy.
we not say everything that you just said about Bernardo about Talisca?
What is it?
Can we not say everything that you just said about Bernardo about Talisca? That he's still green, that he still hasn't shown much, blah 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 blah. Can we not say the same thing?
Got one.
Yeah, because Talisca played how many more games than Bernardo did?
That's fine, Steve. Listen, Alfredo hit it on, and I think you and I are in agreement a lot with this Talisca stuff. But the one thing that I constantly mention over and over and over again is that they will force feed all of us Benfiquistas Talisca, whether you like them or not, because that is their next meal ticket.
Money.
That's their
where
next
the money's
meal
at.
ticket. And they're gonna try to force feed him out there, even whether the guy's playing, lights out or not. They want to showcase him, and they want to get this guy as much experience as possible. So then, when the Chelseas of the world come around, they don't say, you know what, this kid doesn't have experience yet.
My bad. I brought it up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Marco.
No, my bad. I brought it up.
No. I look, I don't disagree with Steve totally, but there's things at play.
He did have a great assist on Sunday.
Yeah, that was a great shot. Don't forget that comes off of Talisca's foot.
If he'd waited a couple of seconds, Gatan would have come on his left shoulder. But it's okay. That's clutching at straws. It's fine.
Marco, I love you, man.
Right.
Wait, hold on, Steve. Usually it's this guy to my left that's just sending out the loves and the hugs.
You got to send love to Marco because he's not on that often. So when he comes, it's always a reason to celebrate and to send love, obviously.
So sweet, so sweet.
Yeah.
Got to get Marco over to the States as well.
Yeah. Anything else that you guys wanted to add before we close this thing out?
No, I have nothing left to ramble on.
Got the crickets.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither. I'm just really, really proud of that team. I really am proud of that team. It was awesome to celebrate that. I was jumping in front of my stream like mad when they scored the second goal.
I was too. And I can imagine how many people were telling us to F off as Benfica was scoring and playing so well after listening to our pod last week. F off, Benfica podcast. Idiots. There you go. I'm sure Neil cursed me out a couple times.
I have to be honest. I was watching the game in my house with two Sportingistas. When that second goal,
that's where you went wrong, dude.
When we won. So obviously, whatever it is, I did it. Next time they play, I'm gonna get those two back here. So when they scored that second goal, man, I went crazy, and they're looking at me, and then they kept trying to jinx it. They kept trying that's it. Benfica won the game. I'm like, there's like a half hour left. They won the game. And then when Jackson hits the crossbar, they almost took off their shirts in celebration. Going, I'm looking at them, they didn't care, but. Obviously, it worked out well for us. So I'm a little bit superstitious at times. So I might bring those two back next time they play.
Yeah. Also, probably the same underwear. You might want to do that.
Dude, já os borrei todos, man.
TMI, please.
I don't even remember which ones they were, man.
All right, I think that's about it. Marco, throw out your Twitter, bro.
Twitter is footy_MarcoL, and just please bear with me. I tend to go quiet and then rant really a lot. So if you don't mind a huge volume of tweets, that's me.
Wait, it's actually Marco. It's Marco L. I thought it was Footy Marco.
Marco. Yeah, Marco.
Marco Lopes.
But I thought it was Footy Marco.
Yeah, it's the one.
Marco Lopes.
Well, now it makes sense. It makes sense, Marco.
You thought that's how they said it, Marco in South Africa? Marco.
Marco. I thought it was whatever. I thought it was interesting.
At Steve Santos. At Steve Santos 6, at 10CO10, at Benfica Podcast. Also, don't forget to check out our friend here, Cristiano and Eric, on their BSH podcast. The BSH.
Hey, if we're gonna be plugging, we should be plugging a certain Marco and his Anfield Index podcast. What is it?
I was getting over there. Is it 2 a week, Mark? You're on twice a week over there?
Yeah. Well, no. The thing is, guys, the show that I run for Anfield Index taps into the Champions League season, which obviously has finished, and Liverpool were knocked out, unfortunately. So I'm kind of out of work at the moment, so
Oof.
if you know of any podcasts I can appear on,
Yeah. If anybody wants Marco to appear on their European football, especially something that's dedicated to Liverpool, that has Liverpool with it,
Well, they're gonna have to wait till
contact him
next
on
year,
Twitter.
Sorry, Marco.
Did they not make the Europa League either?
Yes,
no,
Oh,
they did. They did.
They did. So you
Playing
can talk
against
about
Besiktas.
Europa League.
they play Besiktas, which
Yeah,
is
but
very tough to go out.
yeah. That is the possibility. Yeah.
Yeah.
Marco was about to go off on a rant. I
Marco, anything else you want to plug? The website that you write great articles, albeit you don't always have time to write those great articles.
The website that I write great articles for, and it's the last couple of articles that I've written, is benficapodcast.com.
Oh, there you go.
And then every now and then Portugal.net as well. I haven't written a Liverpool article in ages. I keep on writing about Benfica. I don't know why. It might be something to do with
your articles about Benfica, because I know that that Thomas is a huge Sportingista fan.
Yeah. He's that's kind of why I try and make sure that I throw in something just to temper that, because obviously I'm fully aware, and I'm sure Vasco Mota Pereira, he must be a Portista. He must be.
Yeah.
He likes to keep it a secret, but I have to.
I think he is.
And don't forget also to check out our friend Steve at winesofthedoru.blogspot.com. And at BSH Podcast is where you can find Cristiano's and Eric's podcast. And at planetbenfica.co.uk is our great friends over at the site in the UK. And I think that's about it. BenficaPodcast.com is where you can find our
Shout
site.
out Neil, man. Shout
And
out Neil, bro.
Neil, at Fernandez Neil. At Fernandez Neil. I don't think he has a number after his thing. No. At Fernandez Neil. There you go. And thank you very much for everybody for checking us out. And we apologize. Well, I don't know. We apologize for being a little bit too negative, but I think we made up for it this week.
And I think we have to thank the thousands of viewers we had on the pod today. Appreciate you guys checking in. It's a pleasure putting on a live show for you guys. And Steve, does his hair and puts up a
great picture behind him.
Brings out the fancy wine, and I mean, hence why a couple of our great followers, just to name a few, Stefone and Peggy, they love this guy because he always brings out the red carpet, for this show and puts on a show for everybody.
Also got dressed up.
Look.
See?
That's very I love that sweater, by the way.
At least he wasn't like Peggy. Taking off clothes as we went along.
I thought that was very crafty by Peggy. I thought that was a great gag. It was great. It was awesome.
Cool.
Anyway.
Cool.
Thanks a lot for checking us out. iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher Radio, all that good stuff. Thanks a lot. Arrivederci. Talk to you guys next week.
Ciao.
Ciao.